Today, we're going to talk to that guy right there, Julian Gill, about a new amazing book that he has written we'll talk about his other amazing books as well. And then we're going to actually talk today about mass hysteria today, live on podcast Rock City. Oh, I messed that whole thing up. Let's do it again. Live. What's up, everybody? Joe here from Podcast Rock City, and with me this week, Sonny Hollywood Pony.
We miss Lee, but the show's always better without Joey. Welcome, everybody.
So brutal. All right, you guys up there, you guys know Julian from KISSFAQ podcast. You guys have been on the air now how many years?
Oh, God, 8 years or so.
8, and you guys have done like 500 shows.
Done a lot, yeah. We don't stop talking.
Yeah, and the cool thing about your show is I pretty much know everybody on the show, but it changes like who's available and who comes in for different subjects. You have different people, and I love that about your show. But Julian is an author as well as a podcaster, and he writes a lot of books about Kiss, and you guys have gobbled them up for a long time. And the new one, MASSKISTERIA, is getting rave reviews. Julian, thank you for coming on with us.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be on. And thank you to everyone out there who's ever supported anything that I've done. Calling me an author is really stretching the word. More like condenser would be probably a little bit more appropriate.
Well, that's okay. You wrote a book. You're an author. And you've written how many books now?
I don't know. I lost track. It's really gotten a bit insane, to be perfectly honest.
So you guys, the first time I ever met Julian, I was standing in line in New York to see Peter Criss's last show, and I had seen Julian, of course, lots of video of Julian. I looked back, and then I walked over and I introduced myself, and we were cordial, but we all both had a one-track mind. And one of the coolest things was Julian showed up with a book that had some blank pages, right? Was it all blank pages?
No. A lot of them were messages that had been sent in to me that I had printed up and bound in the book.
Right.
But I left lots of pages so that we could have people add to it in person.
Right. And so it was a book for Peter Criss with all these personal notes, and I got to write a note to Peter Criss inside the book, and I am forever grateful for that you looked at me and said, hey, do this. And forever, that's so cool that I got to tell him thank you as a fan, and we had a great night that night, didn't we?
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. It could not have been better. And then handing him that book at the end of the evening, just with all those messages of gratitude to Peter Criss. It was called Let Me Thank You.
Yeah. It was awesome and a lot of fun. All right. So you guys out there that are watching live, thank you very much for being here. We're going to tell you guys all about how to get Julian's new book, and we're going to get into all that. But before we do, we got to get to a little bit of the news.
Podcast Rock City News.
So today at about 8 o'clock, we're going to have an announcement from Neil Davis. Now, if you guys out there don't know who Neil Davis is, he's the guy that put on the Creatures Fest from last year. It was a lot of fun. We all were there. We had a blast. Well, he's going to be, I guess, making an announcement. I guess he's going to be doing something like that again. And so 8 o'clock, he's going to be doing that. Julian is, when we're done, Julian's going to go have his dinner. He's on the West Coast, and we're going to carry that live right here, the place to be on Sunday nights, Podcast Rock City Live, so you guys can all watch it along with us. And then maybe we'll hang around for 5 minutes when it's done and talk about it, depending on what he says, because we have no idea what he's going to say. Right, Sonny?
I didn't even know we were staying until 2 seconds ago, so that would be correct.
Oh, I thought that's what. Okay, I thought I sent you a message and you said okay.
You did. I'm messing with you. Just play along. Jesus Christ.
Yes, I don't. Come on, everybody knows I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so that's pretty much the news. Kiss is off tour right now. They won't be on tour again until, I guess, the beginning of next month. So there's not a whole lot to talk about, except for I saw pictures of Paul Stanley and Shannon and Sophie. I guess they all went to see Taylor Swift. It's amazing to be able to just, hey, we're Paul Stanley, and in you go.
Did you see that picture of him wearing the Taylor Swift show? That guy's 71 years old.
Yes, I hate the fact.
Doesn't he look absolutely incredible?
He does.
And to take his kids to that, I mean, that's just dad time. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a big tub of goo compared to him. I've seen him sitting right behind the announcers at the WWE with his son, who I know is a big wrestling fan because he's posted stuff about it before. And one time he was sitting behind the announcers for the whole show. Peter was too, not long ago. They never even noticed that he was there. Or they did and they didn't care. But I'm going to guess that he was just like, I'm here with my kid kind of thing. Okay, so that's pretty much the news. Let's go ahead and get to this very, very special and important topic of the week.
Podcast Rock City Topic of the Week.
All right, so we have Julian here. You know that he's got a new book out. Do you have one sitting there, Julian?
Just one I've scribbled over. Let's see if my green screen allows me to show it.
No, we can see it. So let's talk about this. I'm going to hit you with a couple of questions right off the bat. Then we'll see what the title. Is that something that comes from that special that aired in Australia?
No, KISSFAQ. I mean, we've all heard of, applied to the Australian tour of 1980 for over 40 years, and just mass hysteria. Talk about playing with just the play on words. I don't know if I've ever heard that called MASSKISTERIA. If it has, and I clearly lifted it.
Nicely done. So how long have you been working on it?
This goes back 6 years. Originally, with doing the On Tour series, I split Unmasked out into its own little publication, and then it grew from there.
Since you wrote it, how many times did you go, I did not know that?
A ton. Going through memos, going through newspaper articles and stuff that people would send in, and doing translations and all that for some of the stuff. I learned a ton doing the project.
That is amazing. So do you have any questions?
Yeah, so Julian, all this research and stuff, like I'm interested in, like, what's the hardest research to get, and then what's the hardest research to believe? You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some publications that you're like, God, can I really print that? That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, and anything that's in the press, you take with a grain of salt, because it's usually got a PR spin to it. So, say interviews or anything that's been published in magazines, all of that is, it's nice and some of it's useful, but it's being geared towards an angle. So it's not as honest as something that is printed by someone who maybe isn't biased or doesn't have a purpose for that interview. The stuff that comes in newspapers, so newspaper reports, eyewitness accounts, and all that sort of stuff is much more believable because it's often written by people who hate KISS, which comes across in there. So then you have to take into account its bias and the skew that comes into anything that's newspaper sourced. So a lot of that stuff is tough. And when it comes to the 1980 tour, getting European material was way more difficult than, say, researching the US tour. We've got all these online archives now. We still have to spend a lot of time in the libraries, but a lot of the European newspapers don't have that accessibility that we take for granted here nowadays.
Yeah, some of this stuff that's in papers, I remember I was trying to find, you remember the pink section of the San Francisco Chronicle? We both lived on the coast, obviously. And I remember I was trying to find the pink section from like 1985 through 1995 to kind of remind myself of shows I had maybe seen, shows that I maybe had missed. Man, it was a pain in the ass to find some of that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of that's gotten easier. I mean, the amount of time I spend in the San Francisco Public Library going through microfilm is a nightmare. But there are indexes that when the guys were putting together Kiss Alive Forever, they did it all old school. They were driving from city to city, going through newspapers, going through all that microfilm without the benefit of a lot of the online tools that I've had benefit from, or by being able to put my face on Facebook and say, "Hey, Germans, can you send me some newspaper stuff, please?" So all of that gets much easier as the years go by, though as we age out, it gets more difficult for obvious reasons. So there aren't shortcuts that you can take, but you now have a worldwide library at your fingertips that makes a lot of it much easier to capture and to verify. So you ask 9 fans, "Oh, do you remember if You're All That I Want was played at this German show?" They all say no. You're like, awesome, because there isn't a tape of that show. So the web is a very positive tool in that sense. For all its dark side, there are good things for our community who want to share information.
So let me ask you this. So basically this is what they consider the Unmasked tour, and they played one show in the US. Is that covered in your book at all?
Yeah, that is the book starts at the end of the Dynasty or the Return of Kiss tour in December 1979 when Peter basically announces that he's leaving the band. It starts with I think at the beginning of it, it's talking about some of the demo sessions that Gene and Paul did while they were still on the road for Dynasty, and then it gets into the whole the contract renegotiations with Phonogram, the fall of Casablanca, the end of Neil Bogart, all of that sets the stage as well as an expanded album focus for the album itself. So goes into all that detail. And then you get into the tour, you get into the auditions of replacing Peter with Eric. You get Eric coming into the band, and then you get the Palladium shows, and all. I got a ton of worldwide coverage, but not as on the scale that you would have thought for the band at that time. And then it goes into the touring history, and that's the prime focus of it is the Unmasked tour, which is mainly Europe and Australia. So this is really a book for the international Kiss Army, not just American fans for once.
Wow, that's really cool. While you were doing, okay, so do you think that it was a mistake for Kiss not to tour the U.S. for Unmasked?
They didn't really have an opportunity or a chance. The album comes out here, it tanks. They're doing their rehearsals, trying to integrate a new drummer. They had to tour Europe. They had signed a contract saying that they were going to tour Europe. It was written into the contract that they signed in April 1980 that they were going to get a pretty good subsidy to tour Europe. And with Phonogram being a European label, you really want to make your new bosses kind of happy. I think we all have to do that at work. Occasionally make the management, get off my back. So I don't think they would have been able to tour. The sales of the album weren't there. The budgets weren't there. We see budgets for, The Elder the following year, and there's just no fiscal impetus for doing that. They were burned out in this country.
Okay, so listen, before we move forward, I want to make sure that we do a couple of things here because I'm getting a lot of questions. First question was somebody said, I wish this was coming out on hardback, and Julian says.
Yes, there will be a very limited print run in hardcover, and let me explain why. The copies up on Amazon, which are paperback, have a beautiful print to my eyes, and everyone's eyes are different. It's got a little bit of a glossy sheen. It's got beautiful contrast, saturation, all that, and I like the paper. Now, on the hardcover, the paper's thicker and the print is lighter, so the details aren't as good. But I've had so many people asking me about it, and I went through one of the hardcovers, and it's still readable. You might just need to have your bifocals on. So when I do have more information on that, check out MASSKISTERIA.com. That's just your source of truth for where to find it. This is limited available. It's not going to be available online forever like Odyssey or the solo albums book. It's a full color thing, so it's special. It's got, that makes it a bit more expensive. So there will be a hardcover. I've got an order in now. And, if you find me on the KISSFAQ message board, that's usually where I post the links very first. So that's where
here's the website, you guys. And I didn't understand this, and Julian graciously explained it to me. If you go down to the bottom and you click on the flag from the country that you're from, it'll take you exactly where to buy it. That's Amazon in their country.
That is right. Those are all the international Amazons that currently exist.
Right. So if you guys, MASSKISTERIA.com, you go there and you buy the book. I promise it's not going to be bad. It's going to be awesome because Julian dots his I's, crosses his T's, and he goes into a ton of detail.
Yeah. I spelled Eric Styles Holland wrong. I screwed that up. I can't believe it. So yeah, that's where it is. There's a couple of lines that got cut off in the final manuscript. But everything, new copies, I'm continuously updating the manuscript. That's where to get it. Again, it will take you to your local Amazon. It's currently marked down substantially price-wise on the U.S. Amazon. They haven't done that for all the international ones, which is really galling, especially after Amazon put the prices up of everything 20% or more in June, which really bites.
So Scott Hawk here, wants to know, no Kindle available.
No, it will not format into electronic book format, and still have the quality that's required. It is so graphic intensive, it just does not work. So my apologies, no Kindle edition for this book.
Sonny?
Yeah. Julian, what was the last book you did before this one?
Well, I've been updating the On Tour series for our 50th anniversary, but I think the last proper book would have been the Aerosmith book, actually. The last Kiss one would have been Danger Zone.
And that was how long ago?
I don't know. I can't keep track of what I ate for lunch today, let alone when that book came out. Really, with all these things that I do and everything that I'm working on, yeah, it's not easy to get Australian clippings. I mean, thankfully, the Australian Kiss Army is an awesome, bunch of blokes and Sheilas, because they came up with a ton of great stuff for me. Perth was a nightmare, absolute challenge. So not as easy as I thought. Nothing's ever as easy as you think.
Yeah. So, Julian, the reason I was asking how long ago the last book was, is I want to give you kudos. And I think everybody who has joined us so far, and everything I've seen on Facebook, everything I've gotten on text message from my personal friends, they've gotten their book right away. They got something they paid for, right? And you got to admit the Kiss Army's been duped a couple of times.
You're disappointed that I didn't do pre-orders for 8 years and then still not have started writing it? I mean, does that offend you?
I wasn't trying to go down that. I wasn't trying to go down that. But I think, you know what? It's, first of all, you've always done that. But I think it hits home and gives the fans, the Army, it's like, all right, everything's fine. It's not everybody. Right, because it happened from, a Kiss-centric thing, too, with the Dubai thing. So it's like, it's not every time. Guys, just trust it. and you'll get your stuff. And it's so weird because you never hear in the past, you wouldn't hear, hey, I got my book today, I got my book right away, and all of a sudden that matters. So I thought it was kudos to you, right? You did it the right way, and I think you're getting credit for that too.
Listen, thank you, Sonny. I mean, it is critically important to me. I don't worry about other people's stuff, but I did this book. I paid for the art. I paid for everything. I do all the investment in it myself. I then print them up and I get some copies out to people whose opinions I value. If it does not pass muster, it is not getting released. And again, this is fan level. I am not a professional by any stretch of the imagination. I cannot do InDesign to save my life. But if it is not worth fans' hard-earned money, it is not going to be available. If I have to do a pre-order and accept people's money to fund my dreams, I'm not doing that. I'm not risking a 1 cent of another person's money for my edification or ego. And I've done a lot of these projects, and I'd like to think that they've all been worth people's money. I know I've learned a lot along the way. I'm continuing to learn. I'm hopefully continuing to improve my craft. I'm hopefully continuing to listen to what our fellow fans want to read about, because I think this stuff's important. I think it's fun, and I still get excited about it. I get excited about new discoveries. They really make my world go round.
But hey, that was nicely done. I feel like he sat on that comment and waited.
Oh, it was just a train coming along, Joe. There was no setup there.
Very, very nice. Okay, so when you were writing this book, one of the things about your books is how much information is in there. Were you able to get it all in there, or did you go, I'm going to have to leave that out and leave that out?
No, I had to leave some stuff out because some stuff I learned on the side that's going to come out and hopefully come out in someone else's something that I can poach from them, and I wanted to be very careful and respectful of that. I can never get everything in that I want to get into one of these books because you're always learning more. You finally have to draw a line in the sand and say, I'm done. We're putting this out. It's got to go now. Yes, it will never be complete because all the history it's continuously evolving. History was lived, but it's not been written, and it can never be written because you're always going to discover another memo. You're going to discover another obscure fanzine or a newspaper thing that adds to the story. You got to know when to kind of stop and say, let the people have it and let them judge it for what it is at this time, because self-published, I can update the manuscript.
With all your discovery and everything, how was the band getting along at this point?
Well, Peter was written into the 1980 contract as leaving the band. So how were they getting along? Well, Peter was gone, but he was still part of the business. They had a new guy. How are they getting along? Well, they're like mom and dad with a kid on tour. That Eric's completely green. He knows nothing about being an international star, knows nothing about hiding his identity. He's naive. He's a sponge. So how are they getting along? Well, Ace is showing, he's getting a bit worse for wear at this point in the band's history. I think none of that's like new information. Gene is enamored with Hollywood, and Paul is enamored with stardom. So how are they getting along? They're getting along on their own paths with their own kind of addictions, whether it's chemical or otherwise. And Eric's just a deer in headlamps.
Right. Do you think that doing this tour in Australia do you think that this is really what lit the fire to the point where they're still huge in Australia, to the point where they did the fans did a whole thing to try to get the band to come back and do one more show? You think that this tour is legendary?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Legendary and mythical are not necessarily rooted in the reality of the financial response to the tour. even before the tour was over in Australia, merchandisers were taking a bloodbath and not being able to sell the trinkets anymore. It was a very condensed window of success in Australia, but it had a massive impact on the people that experienced it. So it's two completely different things, the reality. And does it live on today? Yeah, those same fans are the people who contributed to this project and made it happen. And you know, it has a lot of meaning to them. Do they care that it didn't make $10 million and the promoter, you know, lost money? No, because it opened up Australia as a touring market a lot more.
Sonny?
Yeah, from all the research, I was just thinking about something, and we haven't actually ever probably heard anybody talk about this. So I figured I'll get both your guys' perspective. So we're at end of 79, beginning of 1980. Every promoter on the planet sees KISS as this behemoth thing that you have to, if you're going to put them on, I guess, into these arenas, there's a huge cost to it. But you could probably get Van Halen and Journey for a third of the cost, and they're twice as popular now. So I wonder if there was any opportunity for KISS to go, look, we'll just kind of trim things down and cut the cost to play the U.S. Any data that even shows anything like that?
No, it's really the following year's touring budget show them doing completely the opposite, refusing to scale down, because there was a mantra that they had within the band. KISS had to be KISS. KISS couldn't be big, couldn't not be big. KISS had to be in your face, over the top, blow your mind. And to a certain extent, thank God they didn't scale down, because Australia got the full KISS experience. Europe pretty much got the full. Some of the German places didn't get all the pyro and stuff. So, you know, KISS is KISS. KISS has to be KISS. There is
Joe,
no
you
KISS
think,
Light.
Yeah. Joe, you think KISS Light in 1980, 1981, I guess, connects with the fans in the U.S.? Are they given another chance?
You know, part of the problem is that they're so used to over the top. If they come in, so in the 90s they did that with the club tour, right? You know, they walked into clubs and you got, you know, a different kind of KISS, of course, but it was bare bones. It was four guys on a stage plugged into the Marshalls and they played. Would so, you know, would a fan be happy if Gene isn't flying across the stage? I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and KISS didn't have the mentality inside to ever stop being big. I mean, even in Australia, you know, they tested the bounds, you know, by demanding swimming pools and stuff be built backstage and then never used them, and press boxes be built and then they're used for 10 minutes, and Paul Stanley flying to New Zealand multiple times to see some cookie, you know. So it was always an inability for them to downscale themselves in their minds as well. And that didn't really happen. 88 was the first time they, you know, when they went back into the clubs in New York and London. That was really it.
There's a ton of you guys here. Some of you might have shown up late. This is Julian Gill. I know you know who he is. He is the writer of the book MASSKISTERIA. He's also the host of KISSFAQ, a podcast that you can get on in audio and video. And we're talking about what you see right there on the screen. If you're watching it on YouTube, that's the website to go to get his new book. MASSKISTERIA World Tour 1980-1981, and in the bottom there's some flags. You just click on the flag of the country that you're in. It takes you to the Amazon for your country, and you can pick it up. And Julian, who did the cover?
Claudio Bergaman. Absolutely incredible artist. I met him on the cruise in 2018 that we were on, Joe, and he did he did the artwork for Judas Priest's Firepower album, which is absolutely incredible. He's also a massive KISS fan, obviously. So when I work on these projects, I try and use artists that I know, you know, and engage them, and I give them a vision and I let them go with it. And look at that cover. It is absolutely amazing. You can get prints of that without my titling and all that stuff from his website, which is in the book, and it's Claudio Bergaman. If you Google that, you'll find his art. But the art that he has executed just nailed what I wanted visually for that. It's based off the press photo that they had with a couple of artistic licenses taken on it.
Right.
And one of the interesting things on that cover is that he did not use any black. All of that is the other colors.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. So is this something that he painted or, did specifically for your book, or was this something that he had already had done? And
no, I commissioned him for this, and I just licensed the artwork for use on it. He's got it all in the bag for his own use and sale, which is the way I prefer to work. I prefer artists own their work. So you're not going to see me selling any mugs or T-shirts with the cover on it. That's I did the same with Chris Hoffman when he did the book, the artwork for Aerosmith.
Cool. Somebody said, so this is Nick here says, Julian, I've heard you say this is your last book, but I hope it isn't. What KISS book topic would you like to see come out?
What, by me or by someone else? I would love someone else to do a KISS book. And I know Alan and Per Strid have Demons of Rock coming up for pre-order, the latest edition of their full color extravaganza. Book-wise, I mean, there's just so much to dig into. People are asking me, if I did another one of these, what would I do? And right now it's a toss-up. It's like, I've just finished this. This is like 18 months or more of really hard work. But I'm like, Destroyer Tour would be really cool to do in this format with, so much of the material that goes along with that, as Glickman marks. Hola, Laurie Strode. But so would Creatures Tour. Would be absolutely fantastic, and so would what was the other one? Oh yeah, Dynasty Tour, because I kind of worked backwards. The starting point for this MASSKISTERIA really starts with Odyssey, and as I found out more and more information after that book came out, I wanted to redo some of the early '81 stuff, which provides a perfect ending point for MASSKISTERIA because of the transition between Unmasked and what becomes the Elder, and it allowed me to address some of the things that have been learned in the year since we did Odyssey.
Cool, man. I always love talking to you about these things because you're really so into it, just like any KISS fan normally would be, and it's just one of those things that when I do get to see you, which is maybe once every couple of years, like I said, the last time we saw each other was at Potomatic.
Wow.
Look at where my brain just went.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Gallagher.
All right. Wow. Okay. We saw each other a few months ago at the Rockin' Pod. And then before that, I saw you at Creatures Fest, right? No. You were not at Creatures Fest.
No.
Right. So it was the KISS Cruise.
Yeah.
KISS Cruise. So I sat with Julian. I sat with him while he drank so much tea. I said, I'm having coffee. He goes, where I'm from, we don't do coffee.
Yeah, how many teacups did I have lined up in front of me? I had an assembly line of tea, my own tea bags that I brought. I only needed a little bit of milk from them, and I'd go from one to the next until I'd gotten my caffeine level up to the point where I could face people.
That's because those cruise cups are a complete waste of time.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Like what the?
Right. Even the coffee, I'm like, I'm gonna have to drink like 10 of these. What is happening?
I want a mug. I'm not doing shots of tea here, people.
So is there? All right. I don't want to like give away too many things. But is there any?
For it,
Okay. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was, is there anything like what was one of the? Give us an amazing thing that you discovered that you think will shock the people.
Just how Peter Criss's exit was handled in the band, because the 1980 contract that they signed with Phonogram in April really sets up all of the issues that occur in 1981 and 82, and that's that makes KISSTERIA worthy of doing. This whole era this whole year is what sets up the band for everything that goes wrong later. So what was really fascinating, just how Peter Criss's exit was handled. He was given a record deal in the KISS contract, and he remained a partner in the KISS business, which is completely different than what happens with Ace Frehley when he, goes off the rails 2 years or, less than 2 years later. So getting a hold of both the international and the American contract were really fascinating. And I didn't want to just print the contracts. I just took some parts of that out and put it into the book so that it would have the context. And I actually left one part of it out that I now regret leaving out, because it's the part of the contract that defines that Phonogram's going to underwrite for $350,000 in 1980 money, part of the European tour, because they knew it was all going to eat a loss.
Interesting. Sonny?
So, Julian, safe to say that KISS paid Peter to go away?
No, because he remains a part of all the meetings. He wanted to go away, but he was given $100,000 deal. Basically, they said, we're going to treat you like any other drummer at the time, give you the same effort of promotion. This will make you happy. You go off and do your thing, and then we'll get a new member in to replace you. So did they want him to go away? Yeah, it was clear that the relationship was, broken. Peter says as much in his autobiography. The others say similar perspectives from a different vantage point in there. So yeah, they needed to have a conscious uncoupling. What was that absolutely ludicrous phrase that Hollywood actress made about divorce? But yeah, they needed to split.
So it says on here, somebody asked, did the artist do the cover for Classic 78?
I don't know what else Claudio has done other than, where's my copy of Classic 78?
Yeah, because that's an incredible cover too. So
Yeah.
it does have
some.
Yeah, it's got some likenesses. Julian, on let's see, we were talking about what we were talking about. Oh yeah, so any data or anything in print that shows, hey, you can go do your own thing, but you can't show your face, or you can't use a Peter Criss name, or they were pretty much done with, look, just show your face and get unmasked. We don't care.
No, they asked him not to. They wanted him to maintain the mystique as long as possible, which is why Out of Control comes out with the illustration cover. I think that was Todd Shore. So they did ask him to withhold it, but he didn't exactly, because once he has his album out and he does a whole press tour, goes to Texas. There are tons of pictures of him, painting cat makeup on people there. He's on CNN. He's on what was it, the Tomorrow with Tom Snyder, and a couple of other TV shows. So once he's on that, the CNN one that they put on Kissology, he's got his back turned to the camera. But on the other ones, he's full facial, looking John Bonhamish with his gray, his salt and pepper gray hair and beard and all that. And he was going to go on the road. I mean, he was rehearsing with a band. There's no bullshit to that he wasn't going to promote the album properly, but they chose a really bad single to lead off with. And come on, KISS couldn't get arrested in the US in 1980. I think one of the comments that flew by, pointed that out again. KISS was essentially dead in the States outside of 16. What was it? Some of those kids magazines that, very few people, cared about. So,
right.
His solo career wasn't going to go any further. It's almost an insult to say, we'll give you the same effort we'd give any drummer. And then Phil Collins comes along a year later or so with his solo career and, resets the whole thing.
Nick Scarpelli wants to know, was there ever serious talk of a live album?
I don't know. There was talk about recording the Palladium show for King Biscuit and broadcasting it in Canada, but I don't have enough memos that follow that trail of where it went. They certainly did overdubs and all that in Sydney for the Australian shows that were recorded that became Inner Sanctum, but was that ever considered to be a live album? I don't have any evidence from the memos that I have, and there'll be a ton that I don't have that maybe tell a different story, but with what I have, no.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned the Inner Sanctum, which to me is one of the best Kiss documentaries ever. If you guys have not seen that, I'm not. I like to think that it's possible for you to find it on YouTube. I'm not sure that I've ever actually seen anything other than snippets. Sonny, have you ever seen the Inner Sanctum?
No, I have not.
It is amazing. And so Australia did it right, man. The Kiss was coming. They shot a whole documentary. I guess the tour's over. They showed it not only live, on TV, but it was simulcast through the stereo, through your radio. So you could like tune in and blast the music and everything through your sound system at home. But it's so cool because it shows behind the scenes um, of that entire tour. It's probably about an hour and a half long, Julian?
Yeah, it's 90 minutes. There's a few versions that circulate out there now, various edits of it. I mean, it was always planned that, they were presented with proposals which are covered in the book, for various TV projects. There had been a plan to film them in Europe, kind of a similar kind of story than what was later done for Kiss in Australia, which becomes Inner Sanctum with Norman Gunston, handling a lot of the yeah, so it played off that whole, it was all pretty packaged. It was planned because obviously they did go back during the gap between going to New Zealand for the final dates to clean up the recordings for use. So Paul did a lot of overdubs. I'm not sure how much Eric might have done, but a lot of work was done on the audio. So hopefully they have that, and one day we'll get to hear a live in Australia, a proper live release if they don't ever, I think we had some of it on Kissology.
What that thing about that, the thing that makes that documentary, one of the things that makes it so amazing, besides the fact that we are finally, when you put that DVD in, or I had it on VHS first, then I had it on DVD, then I had it on DVD with like the what do you call that, counter underneath,
Oh, yeah, the timestamp, yeah.
The timestamp, and I probably have 3 or 4 different copies of it. Just because anytime you see it, you're like, oh, I'll buy this. What's the difference? I found one recently that has them on the Sydney, Australian countdown, the whole look, it's rock and roll and all that stuff. But that's I think people in the States that are huge Kiss fans are so like interested in that because we feel left out. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. America, and as a non-American, you guys this is your band, but it became the world's band in 1980, where Europe, even England, got in on the act, and all the television stuff that circulates, it's all got different languages, it's got different accents, and there's very little from America itself. So that is what is great, is that it finally represents Kiss as a worldwide entity.
You guys, before we go forward, I want to remind you that normally around 8 o'clock we tune out and we're done with the show. But tonight, Neil Davis, who did the Creatures Fest Expo, is making a big announcement tonight, and we're going to carry it live right here. So you guys hang out with us. Like I said, the place to be on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock for the Kiss Army is right here on Podcast Rock City Live. And so we're going to watch that together, and then we may hang out depending on what he says. We'll probably hang out for a few minutes and talk about what he has planned for us. I hope that it's going to be something amazing. I'm hearing October, but we'll wait and see what really happens. It's going to be fun. Sonny, you have more questions?
Yeah. So Julian, let's talk business end a little bit. So, to, I guess, protect all the innocent, we'll talk about a Susie and we'll talk about a Nikki, right? We're just going to name 2 people. So let's say you come across a picture, a photo that you want to use that Susie owns. How does that get handled and possibly end up in the book? Or you want to use a contract that Nikki happens to own through however Nikki got it, and she owns the final copy, and you just want to use a photostat print of that in the book. Is it just you found it, give them credit, or is it you have to call both Susie and Nikki? What happens with all that?
That's
Yeah,
basically the question you got right here.
That's
Also
right.
from Loving Off the Grid.
Now, let's be absolutely clear. KISS, their makeup designs, and everything around them is trademarked. So I have a certain amount of good grace in obviously that cover in terms of the legality of it. So it is definitely skirting a fine line. I don't use a lot of photos in my books exactly for the reasons of copyright, and I have had lawsuits with photographers in the past. I have learned certain things that need to not happen and to happen around that area. But again, there is a certain amount of goodwill as a semi-fan publication, albeit on a slightly broader sense. That's why it's limited edition, limited availability versus being available forever. So I have people who took photographs and they own those photographs, and they are able to grant me a license to reproduce those photographs in the book, and that is all covered and signed off on. There's a certain amount of fair use that comes into play, though that also does collide with the commerciality or the perception thereof of that. So there are gray areas that I operate in, without a doubt. Contracts, memos, I've got those pictures. I can use those on my scans, so I can use those. A picture of something, there is a certain amount of leeway in what you can do. I also mask out photos and the logo in a lot of cases. Anyone who's seen the On Tour book, I put that out to print, and I got my proof copy. I was like, oh shit, I forgot to blur the KISS logo on Peter's drum head, so it was like, quick, blur that sucker with a twirly effect, edit it out, Bruce it. And, and all throughout, you'll see that things are overlaid in terms of the internal pictures to take out some of the things that I don't want to overdo being shown, because again, you're documenting a history and you are addressing everything that is within it, but you also don't want to piss people off. That's really bad when it comes to this. So again, this isn't going to be available forever, and it's not going to a massive scale. It won't even move 1,000 copies.
Yeah. Another question. So let's talk about Cream for a second, or as Ace would say, the Cream. I'm sure Cream was the biggest band on the planet at some point in time before I was born. And then sooner or later, people stopped talking about them. So KISS is almost done. Let's assume they're actually going to be done this time. All right, so let's assume they're going to be done. Is the problem now that there is so much mass media that basically talking about KISS will never be done?
We're still talking about the Beatles. We're still talking about Elvis. Think of the things.
Yeah, but
that are
Elvis doesn't have 95 podcasts, right?
Well, I don't know, but everyone's still nuts for the Beatles and analyzing that no end. This has had KISS has had a massive impact on so many people's lives in so many different ways that they're really unique in a sense. That you can get an English fan who's coming, from a Crazy Nights perspective versus an American fan who started in '74 with the first album, the first TV shows, that you have all these perspectives that are almost, vying for dominance. You have all these different areas and ways of getting excited about this band, whether you're a makeup fan, whether you're a lineup fan, whether you're a tour, it doesn't matter. And because there is always more information coming out, it will never be done, Sonny. It may not be us. There's the next generation. There's a younger fan. There's a smarter fan. There's a better writer of a fan who we can mentor, who we can, help get that passion to keep it going. There's no reason why it doesn't continue. That's what makes KISS 2.0 not as ludicrous as it might sound, other than to me.
Is there any KISS 2.0 that would be okay with you? Let's say they come to you and say, we want to make a 2.0 that makes Julian happy.
No, just start opening the archives properly. get that stuff out that I think exists. I don't know it exists. That I think, that we hope. That's the KISS 2.0 that I care about. It's what's in the vaults that we don't know about, and we've seen little bits of it, like on the creatures box. There were some things I didn't know about. On the destroyer box, pardon me. There were also things I didn't know about. Keep that line coming. That'll make me happy. I don't care about seeing a glorified tribute band. If I want to see a tribute band, there's lots of them to choose from, depending on where you are and what your mood is and how they interpret their show. So the buffet is pretty damn full.
Well, I know we're starting to get towards the end here. I want to make sure that everybody knows where to find you. Okay. First things first, MASSKISTERIA.com is where to get the book. Amazon has, if you go once you're into Amazon, Julian has books in there besides this one. You said going back about 8 years. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So going back about 8 years, make sure, I promise you will not be disappointed. The one that I find myself picking up the most for me is the solo albums one. You can go back and find little things in there, even if it's, just for research purposes. That's why I hope I'm quoting this right, because I've done it a couple of times, but the order of sales, according to your book, was Gene, Ace, Peter, Paul, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So when I tell people that, they always freak out on me, and I'm sure they freak out on you, because nobody wants to believe that Paul Stanley's book sold less than Peter's.
Well, it's just what the numbers say. So, whether people believe it or not, it doesn't matter what people believe. I'm just happy that the sequence of the names on the cover of that book versus the sequence of the art really annoyed some people, because, you give your artist license and they do some wild stuff. And if that's what upsets someone, at least they're thinking about it. Now, Sonny, I hear you're a big fan of Odyssey.
Oh yeah. Well, I can tell you the KISS Army is easy to offend. Let's put it that way. Really easy to offend.
Did you have you ever been contacted though by any anybody involved with KISS saying, this isn't okay, or have you covered your bases very well?
I've tried to cover my bases as well as possible. If I ever did hear that they didn't like anything, then I would immediately comply with them. That they are KISS and I am not. It's a matter of respect. You get to do some things in the fan realm, and sometimes you do a step too far and you get a polite letter. I mean, that's happened with some projects that people will have heard about. So just handle it appropriately. Don't have a temper tantrum, and remember, they're a business, they're the band, and you're not.
Absolutely. One more thing before we go. I want to mention, it's really cool to see you guys that are watching live mentioning just ordered my book while you're watching the show. Thank you very much. I'm sure Julian says thank you as well. That is amazing that you guys are getting this book from Julian's hard work. It pays off when you read it, and he loves the fact that if you ever get a chance to meet him, walk up and talk to him about your favorite book that he has written. He will always be a cool dude to hang out with. One other thing, KISSFAQ, the podcast, where can everybody see that, Julian?
KISSFAQpodcast.com, or just come over to the KISSFAQ and find us on the message board, and you'll see the links to our shows and, usually a bunch of other podcasts as well.
Absolutely. So, Sonny, before we go, do you have any more questions?
No, I'm all good. No, it's a great book. Mine's on the way, so I'm in good shape.
Yes. Thank you very, very much, Julian. We love the fact that we could send you a message in the middle of the week and go, dude, come on. And you're like, absolutely. And we do appreciate it. One thing about being a KISS podcaster is we all get to, thanks to Chris Sinzak and his group, we've all met, we've all hung out, we've all broke bread, we've all had drinks, we've all watched concerts together. It's one of those things to where, you get a message from, everybody's willing to help each other. And that's one of the things that we wanted to do here for, not that you really needed any. The talk about this book is really off the charts. Sonny, you agree?
It's been on my Facebook feed all week.
You haven't been
Oh,
able to
what is going
escape
on?
those damn covers. Hell yeah. I mean, it really has been awesome. I wanted to just, before you wrap and boot me, to thank everyone for joining the live feed with the questions. I didn't turn on being able to see the comments until way late, so I apologize. But I want to thank everyone for their support. I want to thank you guys, Sonny and Joe, for your support and having me on, and all the podcasts who supported me over the years and have talked about the books I've done on my own, the books I did with Tim. Don't forget Tim, because he was the heart and soul of both the solo albums book and Odyssey. And it is very much appreciated, and that's why we always try and deliver what we promise.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julian. You guys, I want you to hang out, okay? We're going to stay here, and we're going to bring you the Neil Davis announcement when it goes live at 8 o'clock. Julian, sir, thanks, buddy. We'll be in touch.
Thank you both.
All right, peace.
See ya.
Peace out.
Go eat dinner. That was fun.
So for Chris, this chair, and I somehow people love this chair, and I guess you can't get an oversized chair. So what I did was, I'm a big guy anyway. I wanted to get a chair that could hold like 450 pounds and is long enough so my feet don't dangle off the end, because this is a zero gravity chair. And so it extends to about, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of, 82 inches, 84 inches, something like that. So that way my feet don't dangle off the end. Super comfy. It's built like steel, because this chair's moved with me 4 or 5 times, no issues. I cannot find a replacement, because I was looking for a second one. I can't find one, and I don't remember where I got this one. Right, but yeah. So it's a great chair.
When you bought it, did you buy it? Did you buy it like in the town that you were in? You didn't get it online or something?
No. I bought it in San Francisco Bay Area, and I used to buy everything at what was that furniture store name? Why do I want to say Levi? It wasn't Levi. God damn, I can't remember what the furniture store's name was. But I used to get Levitt's. But I used to get everything there. Right? So I'm assuming I got this chair there also, but I'm not positive. So for everybody who's still hanging out, one of the things we're going to do this year is we are doing a Podcast Rock City Fantasy Football League. And it's going to be free. So I love fantasy football. I know Joey does. Joe dabbles. I know that. I'm a huge NFL fan. I'm glad gambling got legalized in my state, like that kind of NFL fan. So if you're interested in joining this free Podcast Rock City Fantasy Football League, there are basically 12 spots total. And we're going to do kind of first come, first serve. All you got to do is send us your email address, and I will send you an invite, because it's a private league and you have to have the password, and it's going to be on CBS Sportsline. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a winner take all type of league. So at the end of the season, whoever wins is going to actually get a PRC trophy that we're going to make. So obviously this will be our first year, so that trophy would be special. And then I'm sure Joe's got some stuff lying around that he can send you also.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send a nice gift pack. And one other thing before we, so people keep asking me what I thought of SummerSlam. I enjoyed it until the end. That's all you need to know. The end, I was disappointed. Neil Davis is going to make a big announcement. I want to make sure that you guys knew this. There is a Podcast Rock City has a new shirt design on Click Tees. And I want to show that to you guys. Let's see, right here. So here's our new design right here, guys. If you guys want to go and snatch up a shirt, it'd be cool if you did. It's, of course, based off Rock and Roll Over. It says Joe, Sonny, Lee, Joey. Yeah, okay. Anyway, you guys have been, so clicktees.com, clickteeshop.com, sorry. And, check that out and pick up a shirt. It would be appreciated. Where I'm working with the owner of the company to put some, to let us get like, what am I talking about? Like tumblers and pillows and anything you want with our logo on, you'll be able to get. Some of you guys are asking about Lee. I want you to know that Lee has not left the show. She has some very personal business that she's handling. She'll be back, I believe, next week is what she messaged us. But she has not left the show. We talked to her just a little while ago, and I just want to make sure you guys know that because everybody's like, "Where's the beautiful girl?" And I'm like, "Yikes! Do you mean Joey?" They don't mean Joey. They don't mean Joey. Let's see if we can find the announcement. This is from 3 days ago. Do I need to update? It says there's going to be an announcement. Wait, no, that's not it. We'll just keep going here.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Chris, for listening to. Thanks, Chris, for listening to Growing Up Rock today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope at least one half of it was awesome.
No, we're doing this pretty cool concept every once in a while. It's kind of like a date in like rock history kind of thing. So this week we did the day that Judas Priest was found innocent of the issue with the kids dying and blah, blah, blah. And so what we'll do is we'll look at the charts on that specific day and kind of talk about the music on that day. It's kind of a fun thing.
All right, here's the I guess this is it right here, guys. Let's check this out. It says live.
So much information that I can share with you tonight. I decided to break down my comments into 3 distinct parts. First, I'm going to share some information about what Kiss Cancer Goodbye is. Some of its history, a little more information about the purpose of it. Some of you might, some of you as well. So I'm going to provide that background information. After that, the second part is we're going to dive in.
Okay, hold on one second. I need to make sure that I do something here. All right, so this is going to be, let's see.
Kiss Cancer Goodbye was started, formed, created last year when my 2 friends, partners, Brian Bell and Dale Walter, we got together and we talked about how the 3 of us individually and really the KISS community, all of us collectively, could get together and find a way to play a part to raise funds to fight cancer. And that, this horrible disease that unfortunately ultimately impacts almost every one of us in some degree at some point in our lives. How could we as a community play our part in helping to raise funds and raise awareness for this disease? So we came up with a concept of Kiss Cancer Goodbye. Did that last year, and we decided to do a fundraising event. We had it in Nashville, Tennessee. It was a completely streaming event. We had a lot of artists there as well, and we played live music, all acoustic live music, and then we had some auction items. We had some great things that were donated by members from Peter Chris, donated things, Bruce Kulick, Kiss in particular, all the musicians as well. And we ultimately raised and donated over $40,000 to the American Cancer Society's Real Men Wear Pink campaign. So we're really proud of that. The money we raised, we had a great time. I think if you had a chance to view it, it was a really fun, entertaining event to participate from a viewing streaming standpoint. So we accomplished our goal of raising awareness about cancer detection, and helping to search finding cures for cancer. We raised some money, we raised some awareness, and we had a lot of fun as a group. So we checked the boxes of what we want to do. Well, that was 2022. We go into 2023, and Dale, Brian, and I revisited what we want to do this year, and we talked a lot about Kiss Cancer Goodbye. And we decided if we're going to do it, we've got to be bigger, bolder, be more successful in every aspect than what we did last year. So that's really what we've been doing over the last few months, and I'm going to share with you what I mean by that when I say bigger and bolder about this event. First off, I don't know if you saw the logo for Kiss Cancer Goodbye at the beginning of the video. That was created by my good friend Dale Benson. Dale is also the creative genius on who created the Creatures Fest logo. That was, I believe, such an iconic logo last year's event as well. And he so graciously helped us with this event as well. Dale, thank you so much. Really think it showcases kind of the quality event that we want to do. So we decided that we were going to do Kiss Cancer Goodbye 2 this year. And we started talking about how we're going to do it. And we decided this year that we were going to move the event from Nashville, from a streaming event only, to Florida, specifically Sarasota, Florida. Unlike last year where it was streaming only, this year we're going to do it in person, and we're going to have parts of it as streaming as well. We've also created a partnership with the venue at the Harvest House in Sarasota. It's a wonderful not-for-profit in Sarasota that has a lot of great things in our community for veterans, for battered women, for a lot of things that are important to in the home I live in. So we're working with them, in concert with them, at their facility in Sarasota. They just built a brand new state-of-the-art facility. It's got a beautiful concert hall with a top-of-the-line sound system, a giant video wall, and it's going to be great for the event that we want to put on. So more specific details about it. Kiss Cancer Goodbye will be the weekend of October 13th and 14th. It will be over those 2 days, and there'll be really 3 parts to it collectively. The first part will be on Friday evening, and we're going to start that event off with getting everybody together as a group, as friends, as Kiss fans, and those of us that went on the cruise every year, we didn't have that opportunity to get together in October, and many of us hadn't a chance to see each other this year. So it's an opportunity to get together. We're going to start the evening off with a cocktail party that Friday evening at the location that we're having the facility. Aside from this beautiful building they have and hall, it sits on a 5-acre parcel, and just adjacent to the hall, it's got a big group of beautiful oak trees and has a big canopy over it of oak limbs. And we've got an outdoor stage there. So we're going to have a cocktail party so everybody can get together, say hello to each other in person, reminisce, get caught up, and then the action starts. So we're going to start the event off similar to how we typically start a lot of our events off, and that's with a unplugged set. Now, last year, if you were at Creatures Fest and saw it, we recreated the MTV Unplugged from beginning to end. And I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I think everybody that was there would agree with me on that. MTV Unplugged, something that is ingrained in all of our memory and something we all love. But we didn't want to just recreate what we've done in the past. We want to have an opportunity to do things that we've liked before, but when we have an opportunity, again, maybe have a new spin on it. So I'm calling this Unplugged 2.0. And I'm working with my good friend Steve Brown from Trickster, who was part of the acoustic set last year. And we've come up with a great set of songs, Kiss songs, many of them that most of it we've never heard being played acoustically before. Some real surprises in it as well. I think you're really gonna be excited. I would suspect 60 to 70% of the songs I've never heard Kiss or anybody else on the cruise play these songs unplugged. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. We also have another slant on the Unplugged. The songs that Paul typically sings, we wanted to do something a little different this year. And the cancer event we're having, there's all types of cancer that we're trying to fight and find cures for. October in particular is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That's both female and male breast cancer. So in addition to all the cancers, those are two of them in particular that we're going to talk about during the event and we're going to highlight. And we really thought that with female breast cancer in particular, that we wanted to have some representation from the female rock and roll crowd. So we're really, really pleased that we joining in the Unplugged set will be from the band Plush. If you saw her on them on the Kiss cruise, Mariah Formica. She's a 22-year-old, 4'11", amazingly talented woman, has an incredible singing voice, and we thought it'd be a really fresh take on the Unplugged performance to not only have some new songs, but have her coming over and lending her voice to that set. So I think that's going to be a great way to kick off the event. So that's going to be outside. We're going to finish that as a sun setting, and then we're going to move inside. And it's time for full-blown rock and roll shows. Now, 2023 to me really feels that it's a year of a lot of nostalgia, a lot of So this year's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of reminiscing and thinking about the 50th years we've enjoyed with our band KISS. And I really want to take that into account when we thought about what type of shows that we performed, what we did. And I wanted to, again, just do some celebrations of certain types of music, periods of music, and particular people that are involved in the KISS universe. So we're going to do something that I've wanted to do for quite a while. And I'm really pleased that we're going to be able to do it this time. And that's where our initial set, we're going to be dedicating it to the memory of Eric Carr. And what we're going to do is play the entire Lick It Up album from beginning to end. You started off with Exciter, all the way through the 8th day, play the entire album. And then for the encores, we're going to play a couple of deep cuts from Creatures of the Night. And this, again, show will be dedicated to the memory of Eric Carr. He was really part of the band there and really shining as well. And we're excited to do that. Also really pleased that the amazing Todd Kearns will be part of that performance. And, the band, Paul, the rest of the band, they were just really, as they went into the 80s, starting to hit all their cylinders musically, vocally as well. And it's tough stuff as musicians. So to have someone like Todd Kearns, such a great musician who will be fronting that band, be really cool. But Lick It Up from its entirety. And I've said this many times. There's so many great KISS albums. We could all debate, discuss what our favorite albums are and why. But one thing about the Lick It Up album, except for the title track, really there hasn't been many of the songs that have been performed live since the album came out. A couple of them on the Lick It Up tour, but subsequently a lot of it really hasn't had the opportunity to be played much or at all. This is the chance. The entire album from beginning to end will be performed, again, with a couple of encore deep cuts from Creatures of the Night. So that's the initial show. Then let's stick with the theme of celebrating Eric Carr, celebrating that era as well. Really, really happy to tell you that Chris Jericho and his band Quarantine will be the headlining show Friday night. I don't think I have to explain Quarantine or Chris Jericho. What a powerhouse band. They perform songs primarily from the non-makeup era and from Asylum, all the way, all those albums that are so great as well. So they'll be our headlining band on Friday night. So that'll be a really, I think, exciting, powerful first way to kick off Kiss Cancer Goodbye. Now, through those, in between the sets, we're going to be doing some auctions like we did last year. And we've got some great things like we had last year. We've got members from KISS that are donating items to us, some of the other musicians as well. My friend Jim Boykin, who has got an incredible KISS collection, is donating some really cool items that I think that as fans, we're gonna have the opportunity to put them from other people's homes into yours, and all of that money we donated 100% to the American Cancer Society. So that's Friday night. Saturday, we wake up, get breakfast, get freshened up, and we make it back to the venue. We're having an event, then we call it Party in the Park. That'll start at about noon on Saturday. We have food trucks all lined up around the facility. We'll get an outdoor stage. and we're going to play some great music and do some really fun things during part of the park. And some of that lineup we're still working on, but I can share a couple things we're going to do. I talked about Eric Carr, who we all know we lost from cancer. Another member of the KISS family was impacted by cancer. We're so fortunate that Peter Criss did survive it, and we're really happy. We got to see him last year at Creatures Fest. Wonderful human being. Cancer awareness, cancer testing is very important to him. So we're going to play a set of music all dedicated to Peter Criss. All the songs that he played when he's in KISS, from the first album all the way through. And our friends Ryan Spencer Cook and Jeremy Ascroft, they're going to lead the charge on a full set of Peter Criss songs. So if you love his music, and I think all of us do, here's a chance not to hear 1, 2, 3 of his songs sprinkled amongst the set, a whole set of Peter Criss music. So that'll be one of the performances. We're also going to do, and while we didn't lose this member of KISS to cancer, we did lose him. Bob Kulick, we lost a couple of years ago. Bob's impact on KISS, we all know what it is. Some people talk about him as the 5th other member of KISS, and again, there's lots of great stories about Bob's involvement in KISS. What we're going to do is do a special tribute to the songs that Bob was involved with KISS. And you think about it, KISS, Alive 2, the studio album, the Foresight, the studio songs, Killers, the Killers songs, again, similar to Lick It Up, don't get as much attention as they should because there's so much quality on there as well. Paul Stanley's 78 solo album, some great gems on there that are going to be performed as well. I think we're also going to do a couple other cool things as well. Bob was involved with a hit from SpongeBob SquarePants. He performed with Meatloaf. So we're going to primarily focus on some of the KISS songs he was involved with, but probably take a dive into some of the other musical gems that he did as well. And again, paying tribute to this man who had such a huge impact on the KISS world. Now, I talked about losing people and cancer, some things that can maybe bring you down a little bit, and that's not the purpose of it all. And to make sure that we're all excited and having fun, we're bringing my good friend, all of our friends, Courtney Dole back. She has KISS Comedy, and she's going to do a comedy set with some other musicians. And for the first time ever, she's going to do her comedy, and she's going to be bringing Steve Brown from Trickster and PJ Farley from Trickster as well, and they're going to come up and doing a set of comedy. And I already know what they're working on. I've heard little bits of it. It's going to be great. Those two are both characters in themselves. Courtney is just hilarious. So we really wanted to bring them in and make sure we continue to keep smiles on our face and laughing as well. So that's some of the things we're going to do on Saturday, and that'll go most of the afternoon. We got a few other little tricks up our sleeves that we'll share later on. Let's move on to Saturday night. So Saturday night, we'll all reconvene back at the concert hall, and we're going to start off the evening with a special set of music. We're going to dedicate this first set to Bill Aucoin, another powerfully important person in the KISS world who was taken to us by cancer. So the first set is dedicated to Bill Aucoin. And similar to how we started Friday night, we're going to look back at some musical gems that are important into the KISS library and don't always get the attention it does. And specifically, if we think back to the first 3 KISS albums, we all remember shortly after the third one, Dressed to Kill, was released, they were repackaged as the originals. So we are going to do a special salute to the originals. Now, those 3 albums have so many songs that continue to be played regularly. You can see KISS perform them on the End of the Road tour. Great music. Love all those songs. We're not going to play those songs. Again, not because they're not great, they are, but because you can see them in other outlets. I'm thinking about other songs as well. Love Her All I Can, songs like that as well that we all know we love, and we really over the years haven't had an opportunity to hear those great songs of, Two-Timer, Room Service, just some great gems that are on the originals that we don't see in a live setting that often. So it's a salute, a tribute to the originals album set, and only focusing on the deep cuts or rarely or ever played songs as well. So I think you see a theme here. As KISS fans, we're really trying to do something different and give us some musical journeys, some musical ventures that we normally don't have the opportunity to do. That leads us into the Saturday night headlining show of the evening. This year is the 30th anniversary of a very important album. You know, all the studio albums on KISS are really, really great. We love them. But without question, it was those live records, recordings that really put KISS on the map and continue to keep them in the forefront. KISS Alive, KISS Alive 2, and I'm specifically talking about KISS Alive 3. So we're going to end up the evening by doing a full performance of KISS Alive 3, which I think is great because it's 30th anniversary. As far as I know, it's never been done. And I could pause right now, and I believe that if I ended that statement just like that, that would be a just incredible way to wrap up the music at Kiss Cancer Goodbye. But it gets better, because it's not that we're just performing KISS Alive 3, it's the person that's performing it. And that is the person who's going to join me right now, the one and only, our friend, Mr. Bruce Kulick. Bruce?
On. Yes, my mic's on. Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool.
You jumped in a little bit. I heard you strumming away, so I had to mute.
Yeah, you know, all of you who know the Alive 3 record, or the Revenge tour, really, they recognize this guitar. I feel more comfortable holding a guitar, okay? So here I am with the guitar, and I did keep a copy of the original release, you know, nearby. Mm-hmm. But first of all, before I explain a little bit about how excited I am to be involved with this Kiss Cancer Goodbye event that you're putting on, I wanted to, of course, reach out and just say thank you for your bold excitement about this, Neil, and thank you for your fans that are watching, and hopefully this is really going to get out there. I know when you originally approached me, it was a germ of an idea, and I didn't know if I could be involved, and it's grown and grown and grown, and I love all the unique types of performances that you're planning, especially personally to me, is that you're going to dedicate something to my brother, of course. And even though, you know, his passing wasn't directly related to cancer, we all know how cancer has touched everyone's lives, okay? And we know that, of course, Eric Carr, which was a true tragedy, you know, during my years of KISS, and as well as the scare that Peter went through, you know, that it touched Peter Criss's life so intensely. So everyone's been affected by cancer. And I remembered last year when you did your event, which was, you know, more like in a studio streaming, and you had great performances and everything, but it was done on a different level. I was very happy to contribute. In fact, it was a beautiful hand-painted guitar, you know, featuring my brother's resume, kind of, that I gave towards that. And this time I'm planning some cool things as well that could be auctioned. But I thought representing, especially now that you're putting on a concert event over 2 days, in some ways a little bit like a Creatures Fest, because you always like to think of, if you're going to entertain, you know, you can't do a KISS show, but what can you do that KISS fans love? Okay. You know, and that's what Creatures Fest kind of represented, you know, and I see you boldly going where no one's gone before once again. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm hoping the fans out there understand that this is worth going to, okay, worth supporting, of course, because it's all for cancer. And then obviously with no cruise this year, we know that KISS is winding it down, and that's very exciting. We all know that, okay? This is going to be in a very exciting last quarter of the year, you know. But I think this weekend in October, for you to be able to put this together, I know you got great support from your local people in Sarasota, Florida, where you are. And I saw the venue, and once you went over the logistics of how I can leave from a show in Las Vegas and come to your event with a nonstop in the morning, along with Lisa by my side, thankfully, okay, and then perform. It's very exciting. So I want to just let everybody know this is something not to miss, okay? And even if you can't get there, even though Florida is a little easier than some other places in the country, you know, you're going to have this thing available for people that enjoy streaming, and they'll be able to donate to the charity and get it all going. And I know you did great for last year with the charity, and I know you're going to do even better this time because this is a bigger 2-day event. So let me just mention a few things. First of all, every event musical that you described, I thought it was very unique and special. I'm a big fan, and I'm very tight, of course, with Chris Jericho as the wrestler, and of course as a big supporter of my era. So Quarantine is a killer band. If you people out there don't know it, I mean, they were at Creatures Fest, and I know because of Chris's crazy schedule with his wrestling career, he's a huge star, okay, as a wrestler. And that's his like acting day gig, you know what I mean, as a wrestler. And yet, his passion for music is super, and Kiss. He just loves Kiss, okay? And I get such a kick out of my relationship with him. I know all his band members, and because you've amassed some really, really great musicians to be a part of all these different elements of your weekend of Kiss Cancer Goodbye, I'm very honored to mention, of course, I'm very excited that Todd Kearns will be, of course, singing for me and performing the Alive 3 show from top to bottom. Now, this is something that I used to do around, I used to go international sometimes, and the local tribute band, I'd have to, go over stuff with them. And, to varying degrees, it was successful. Okay. Of course, just me being in Brazil or Mexico or somewhere in Europe is exciting. But the talent that I know that you have on hand because of all these events, I'm thrilled about. Okay. Todd is always my right-hand man. So I'm like, we're both really excited. And we just really came up with this commitment this week because I realized I can do it. And then the other members I wanted to mention, Joey Casada plays now with Quarantine, even though he's not the original drummer. That was Ken Schlusser, a very good friend of Eric Singer and myself. And then what happened with Cantus, of course, is Luke Bryant gig, which is amazing. Sometimes prevents him from performing with Quarantine. And Chris has got a great sub there. And then Joey, of course, was involved with Creatures Fest, and I got to play a little bit with him for the Unplugged thing. And we go back a long time, and I'm honored that he's going to be on drums for me. And I know he's just a Kiss maniac too. Okay. So it's going to be great. And then the other guy that a lot of people aren't aware, I've worked with some incredible, everyone knows the guys I usually get on my cruise. Okay. For those cruise gigs and those performances that I've done, including Creatures Fest. Zach Throne, I love on bass. He's actually the lead guitar player for Corey Taylor, the Slipknot singer that he's been busy with. Todd Kearns plays bass, by the way, with Slash, but he plays guitar with me. So those two guys are brilliant, okay, that they could play either instrument professionally, and then they sing fantastic. When Zach couldn't do the first cruise last year, I think you were aware, Neil, and some of you out there, I had to get somebody to fill in because it slammed right into a commitment with Corey Taylor when it got extended to 2 cruises. And long story short, Brent Fitz knew a really talented guy in Canada, and Chaz came in and killed it. Okay. So what I wanted to introduce was a guy that's on hand in Quarantine who happens to be a fantastic guitar player and a very dear friend of mine. We keep in touch. We're guitar nerds. We chat all the time, Kiss nerds. And it turns out that he plays bass really well too. So Joe McGinnis, another one like Zach and Todd, sings incredibly. So again, when you mentioned those players on hand, because I knew I couldn't necessarily wrangle up my cruise band, and it wasn't about that. It was about, being involved with this because of the, Kiss Cancer Goodbye, knowing that they were on hand and that these guys live and breathe the Kiss music in their blood, and they're just incredible musicians. That rounds out a terrific group that I know I can have a great time with to perform that amazing record. And I haven't done that. I've done a lot of those songs on the cruises, but not like an Alive 3 night. Okay. And at Creatures Fest, even though good or bad, the night with Ace and Vinny got all of the press. Okay. And I always resent that because that was monumental, but it was also mental. Okay. But my point is, my band, the cruise band with Zach and Todd and Brent Fitz, did this incredible, the entire Revenge show. And then we had Peter come up, for something completely different, something from his era, and that got all the press instead of, me performing an album from start to finish. But that's what was so amazing about Creatures Fest. You had so many different elements going on that how many headlines are you going to get? You know what I mean? But personally, for me, when I get to perform one of my records, which I hold very dear, my Kiss catalog, from start to finish, and do it respectfully, that's a true thrill. Okay. So that's what's going to happen. That's all I'm really going to have time for, actually, because I fly in that day. Okay. And I know the band's going to kick ass. And of course, this is just it's a don't miss kind of event, with all, the proceeds, of course, going to a great charity, which is Kiss Cancer Goodbye. So I'm just hoping I explained my, participation well, and the fact that I think this is a party that everybody needs to go to. You showed me the venue. It's going to be really exciting, and it's not real hard to get to Florida. So I hope to see everybody there. And I know you're going to start setting up how they can buy the tickets and what the details are. And it won't be as complicated as all the a la carte things for Creatures Fest, I'm sure. Yeah. You just got the Friday night and the full day Saturday. But it's really going to be for the right reasons, and all in the spirit of the music we love, which is Kiss, and all being involved with a charity that has affected everyone's lives.
Well, Bruce, thank you so much for those words. And it's really important for everybody to know something about the other musicians than Bruce. And Bruce is humble. He's not going to say this about himself, but I will. Bruce plays with Grand Funk Railroad, and played this weekend, and just got home, but he still wanted to be and speak to us tonight. Bruce is playing the night before, Friday night, of our Kiss Cancer Goodbye in Las Vegas, the other side of the country. And logistically, it was going to be really tough to get him here. And a lot of people would say, "Hey, it's just too much." You do a show. When you see Grand Funk Railroad, it's a high energy show. They've got to get ready. They got to perform. They've got to wrap up the show afterwards. But when Bruce and I talked about this, we acknowledged that it was really busy. It's not ideal to get up and fly in that day of the show. But he said, I can't miss this. This is really, really important to support what we're doing here to raise money as far as the community, because whether we're fans, whether we're artists, this disease doesn't care. It's out for every one of us as well. And that really holds true to all the musicians. Todd, we rattle off a lot of people that being here, and it was really kind of heartfelt for me when we started talking about this event. A lot of these artists who I've had the privilege of getting to know and working with are reaching out and saying, how can we be involved? How can we help? This is really important. We want to do, what can we do? And I will tell you that typically when you have artists, and this could be Bruce or anyone else, you ask them to come play, and they're going to decide what they're going to play, and they'll do it. And someone like Bruce and the other people will do it well. This was different, where I said, hey, what I really want to do is this concept with these artists. You normally don't go to artists and say, we want you to play, but we want to tell you what to play. It just doesn't happen. But Bruce and the rest of the people were going, we love what you're doing. We think it's a great idea. And they bought right into it. And it goes back to something I say it a lot, but I think it's important. These events are by fans for fans. We're giving us events. Live Nation's never going to give us an event like this. I'm not knocking them or anyone else, but we try to create, when I talk with Dale and Brian, what would be different? What do we never get as fans? What type of event can we do? And how do we tie that in to support this important work, this fight to raise money, raise awareness for cancer? And that's what Kiss Cancer Goodbye represents. A collection of people, of volunteers, of artists coming together and doing something great that we as a community can get together and enjoy. The camaraderie, the music, and collectively, all of us get together can raise a lot of money to play our part as the Kiss community towards fighting this disease. So we're really pleased about it all. We're the kind of next steps, as Bruce shared, in about next 10 days. We're going to have tickets available. There's just going to be a couple of different options. We are going to have a pre-sale for everybody that went to Creatures Fest and Kissmas Masquerade. We're going to give you the first option to do this. Now, this venue is much smaller. It's going to be a much more intimate show than we had at Creatures Fest, about half the capacity. So we're going to give the people that were at our past events the first opportunity to get the tickets, then open up to the rest of the KISS community as well. We also have some varying hotels close to the location that will have special links for preferred pricing for the event as well. And other information about travel. Bruce said it's easier to get to Florida. We have in Sarasota, we have a Sarasota International Airport. We have the Tampa Airport, which is about 45, 50 minutes away. And if you want to make a whole trip of it all, Orlando Airport's a little over 2 hours away if you want to make a Disney Universal stop right before or after the event as well. A lot of fun options. If you don't know this, I live in Sarasota. I'm proud of my home, but the people that rank the beaches across the world consistently rank our Siesta Key Beach is one of the best beaches in the world. So if you want want to come over and again make it a long weekend, you're not gonna have much time during the event to do anything except rock and roll. But if you want to come to Sarasota, myself, my wife would be happy to provide any details about how you can expand your vacation, make it a Florida vacation with yourself, your friends, your family, whatever you want that look like. But we welcome you, invite you to Kiss Cancer Goodbye in October 13th, 14th, 2023. Again, this was the kickoff information about it all. There'll be more details. Brian, Dale, and I will be back in touch in the near future. More details about the events. More information about tickets, hotels. I know you'll have a lot of questions, and we are continuing to always be here to answer them. You can email, text me, however you want to as well, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. And we certainly hope to see you in person, or if not, we are going to be live streaming portions of this event as well. So everybody, no matter where you are, no matter what your circumstances are, can play a part in this event and supporting our goals of raising needed funds for cancer.
Cool. And I got to say, Neil, I mean, for me, and obviously we had the conversation before I committed, your concept of celebrating the 30th anniversary of Alive 3. And I loved it because I used to use it. This is way before I started to do the cruises, which were really dear to me, every one of them, and what my sets were and everything. But before that, because I like doing a mix of old and new, but doing it not the Alive 3 is like a supercharged version of the makeup songs when they appear, and then of course support of the great Revenge record. But even like when we were talking about you're gonna, there's a Lick It Up night. No, I'm still gonna do Lick It Up, but we're gonna do it a live 3-way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but just that whole concept of me doing that with the 30th anniversary happening this year is very exciting and dear to me, and that's why I'm gonna make that effort, like you said, from a gig the night before, and just tough it out and get there. And I know it's going to be great for the fans. I love the idea of it doesn't have to be a huge crowd. You have a smaller room, great. All the people are there for the right reason, and the stuff that you share. Streaming will be exciting. So I think this is shaping up, especially for all those people who there is no cruises planned. Okay, this thing is not going to be that kind of a commitment financially, or to get there and be involved. And I know your ticket prices, which you discussed with me, which you'll describe when you do the online announcement. But it was like, how could people argue with that for the entertainment value? And if you hadn't seen Chris Jericho in Quarantine in person, these guys are fantastic, and it's so much fun. And then all the other angles you have with all that talented people that are going to be there that weekend. It's really a special Kiss event that I'm just hoping that people come out and support. And it's going to be a great honor for me to play Alive 3 with those people this year, and especially under the umbrella of Kiss Cancer Goodbye. So I want to thank you all.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up. I want to tell you there's a lot of things that you're going to have to come to see it, to experience it. But I will tell you this venue has a giant wall-to-wall video screen. And when Bruce is playing the Star Spangled Banner, we're going to have the most giant flag behind him on the digital wall waving behind. It's going to be a glorious, glorious view to hear Bruce play that with that American flag up behind us as well.
I only have a little flag on today. You see?
Yes. So we're going to blow that.
I'll give you a power cord for that.
Nice. Yeah. Everybody hit their like button right now. And what do they say in the show business world? That is a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. Bruce, as always, thank you so much. For the fans out there, on behalf of Brian Bell and Dale Walters and everybody else, we'll see you soon. I also want to thank Dean on KLA, who has pushed his auction back so we can do this. Stay tuned and spend some time with Dean after this, and we'll be back in touch soon.
Okay, take care.
Thanks.
All right, so that was the announcement. I bet there's going to be more, though. I bet there's going to be more. I think that there's, knowing Neil, he was booking stuff for Creatures Fest all the way to the last minute. I don't really have a lot to say. We're going to actually have Neil on next week. I think Joey has put that together. He'll be with us, and Neil will be on, and we'll talk a little bit about that in our news section, and then we'll have a topic. I think I speak for Sonny and everybody else when I say, how awesome is it that Joey is going to play with Bruce?
Yeah, I can't ever seem to make it at a gig that Joey is. Well, I guess I was at Creatures Fest. That's the only time I've ever actually seen him play live.
Yeah.
And this is happening during my niece's wedding, so I'm out. But sounds like a good time, though.
Yeah, I'm going to be there, and I think I'll be bringing Karen with me. And that's the week before I go see Kiss in Nashville, I believe. So I'll have 2 weekends of Kiss. Yeah. Hopefully I won't be, by the time I'm there in Nashville, hopefully I won't be like, oh, God, I'm so tired.
Is Sarasota drivable for you?
I think it's 8 hours, but
okay.
if I can arrange it, I'm flying because 8 hours in a car sucks. Anyway, all right. This is look. I would love just to see the Alive 3 album done, and I'm gonna. That's one of the main reasons I'm gonna go. I believe. And Joey, I think, is playing with Quarantine, and I think he's playing with Bruce. So that is amazing to me, and it'll be a lot of fun to see him and any of you that can make it. I'm going to tell you, I really don't know anything, but the one thing about Neil is he's always got his wheels spinning, and so everything that we heard today might have been what's booked right now. But if I had to guess, there's more to come. Sonny, do you have anything to add?
No, it's been a long show, but we would have been watching the Neil thing anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to watch it here. And, it's cool to have Bruce involved. And, man, I mean, Bruce willing to do trains, planes, and automobiles to get across the country. Dude, at his age, that can't be too fun.
To come and hang out with all of us, I think that's pretty cool. Thank you guys for sticking around. I really do appreciate it. Lee, we miss you. We love you. Joey, we know, I think it's your son's birthday. And let's just Darth Shredder gives me so much crap. Yes, I'm going to see the Kiss cover band a week later in Nashville. I love you, man. Anyway, so thank you guys for joining us. You know what I'm going to say. We love Kiss, and we love Kiss podcasts. Most of them. And you're going to hear all the commercials. You're really not. But I'm going to play them anyway for the audio. And we're out of here in 3, 2, 1. Peace.
Peace.